Zdravia желаю, YouTube land товарищи. My apologies that this video took so much longer to produce than it really should have. Off the top, let me say, I got a lot of stuff going on the home front. If you know me personally, you know I got a lot of stuff happening. Sorry, there's just more important things than just my hobbies, which are all-consuming and probably to a bad degree. I mean, can there be a hobby that's all-consuming to a good degree? Either way, let's talk about, what was it? Not Bangkok. Duc. Yeah? Whatever. The July 2021 Broken Arrow Events Namsoft event. Whatever the hell it was called. So, this was their smaller one, which was supposed to be focused on the Mike Force, whatever the hell that means. Supposed to be more cat and mouse, smaller operations. It was well planned, except for the part where like 3/4 of the People's Army didn't show up. And then I had to make do with trying to make stuff happen that was written for a much larger group. So that was frustrating. So that was, besides my personal stuff going on, my head wasn't in the game really. And, I mean, the weather was good. There had been some rains before it. So we did have a fair amount of wetlands, which was very cool. Because at one point, the Mike Force was talking about, we were tracking you guys, we were following your tracks. And I'm like, no you weren't. Because I was walking through the streams, there was no tracks left by me to follow. You know, I make sure, and I'm conscious of the enemy's out there, and we're leaving tracks in soft dirt. Choose to not walk on soft dirt whenever possible. So whoever they were tracking, it wasn't me. I mean, they actually asked to look at the soles of my shoes, and we're like, oh, I guess it wasn't you. So it started out where we had to, in the story, the imperialist forces were driven out of Camp Comduck, Lamduck, Lamadama Ding Dong Duck, whatever. So we were actually supposed to hold a fortified position. At the moment, there was a grand total of 5 of us. 5. And out of these 5 characters, I had to have forces split up, operate within a certain area to intercept Mike Force walking through. And they're, of course, trying to avoid my patrols. I mean, I'm only able to send out 1 cell, because I can only spare 3 people, because at the same time, I also need to hold that fortified area. So it was me on the machine gun, the RPD, and one other guy that's not really ideal for being out on patrol. So we held that position as we were supposed to, and the patrols were out where they were supposed to be. They did their thing. I mean, Mike Force got their share of experience, because they were supposed to get through without being detected. So they caught wind of the patrol. They managed to avoid them. So I guess Mike Force had a good time. That was just the start of Saturday. Since my head wasn't really in the game and kind of got so much personal home front stuff going through my mind, when I read that we had to go hold a village, I didn't even realize this field had more than one village. So me and the guy that was with me holding that fortified position, we left it to hold a village. Wrong village, but whatever. Again, I had to send one cell, only one cell, just the one cell to go and potentially, again, intercept these guys wherein they're going through a part of the field. They managed to get through. They managed to take that fortified camp. At that point, well, we didn't want to end up separated from our stuff. We understood that the small number of us, especially if they attacked and there was just two of us holding that thing, we weren't going to be able to successfully hold it. We had to give it up one way or another, with a fight or without a fight. So we weren't going to set up our camp over there. We didn't start hanging up our hammocks. We actually cached our rucks at a different site, hid it away. So when it was clear that we're going to have to set up our actual camp somewhere else, and just in case there was going to be rain, we're going to need to be in some sort of high ground, and also more defensible. We want to be able to fight them off. We end up heading south. I put my man on point and I tell him, take us around the camp. We're not ready to fight because we're hauling stuff. Only two guys actually had their hands on guns, while the other three guys were hauling stuff. We were not ready to fight. So naturally, my point man takes us almost directly at camp, and we run into the Mike force just hanging out over there. Well, not hanging out. They were concealed. They were well concealed until they started running around as soon as fire started. That totally gave away their positions. That was silly. But again, we weren't ready to fight. Honestly, I don't even know if my drum was feeding at the time. So we all got pretty much wiped out real quick. So far this morning, I think only Mike Force is having a good time. But, you know, that's the majority of the attendees, so good for them, I suppose. So we move on towards a good defensible position where we're going to be able to stay dry and hopefully avoid detection by Mike Force as they eventually come looking for us. Remember, cat and mouse. Meow. So we start heading. See, this part of the field over at Tolcom is. It's not, even though this is the flatter side of the field, it's not so flat. There's like cliffs and giant boulders, and the guy that was unfit to go and do patrols, he's not going to be able to climb up those boulders. So there we go. Now we're down to 4 guys. We set up our camp. Morale's kind of low since the only action we managed to get was get shot up while we're hauling stuff. So morale's kind of low on our side, and it's already like the afternoon, and I decide we're going to be eating. It's time to boost the morale. I did bring my Soviet camp stove, the old rocket engine, and I fire it up. I start cooking up our meal for the 4 of us, and seriously, it's like a rocket engine. You have to be certified to use this thing. There's a certain method, and then you got to know what you're doing and not get scared by the plume of fire that starts. So anyway, I'm the only one that can handle it. I do send guys to go up the hill and take up sentry positions in case anyone's coming at us. So 2 of us remain. Two guys get deployed as sentries, and it's all fine. And we get the signal. We get the signal. Something's acting. But it was funny because my jet engine is loud, and I'm sitting with it like right at my feet, like right at my lap. And it's really loud where I am, and I heard the whistles, whereas the guy that was standing further away didn't. And I'm like, did you hear a whistle? That was a whistle, right? We made contact. Why do they have to interrupt mealtime? Goddamn imperialist bastards. So, I need to shut down my cooking process. I need to grab my weapon, and I need to deploy towards where the whistles came from. And in the process, at first, I did consider, should I throw on my top? At the time, I was just in my undershirt. It's not like it was white and it was super obvious. It was a green undershirt. It was like olive drab undershirt. But I figure it's gonna take precious time away when I could be assisting, and also it gives them time to locate me and locate our camp. So I just grab my gun, go towards the whistling, and start firing at enemies when I can see them. So the sentries made contact more towards the north, and then I make some visual contact down the hill there in the east. So we don't get enveloped. We already have guys shooting towards the north, so I start engaging the guys towards the east. And eventually I did catch something, graze me. So I'm just laying there on the boulders. I ended up catching it more from the north direction. So the guys, the original sentries, they got overrun. I took a stray bullet. I was grazed, but I was playing it dead. You know, it's Airsoft. Take a hit to the pinky, you act like you've been seriously, grievously injured. So I'm laying there, and what's funny is these guys start arguing, and it's like, who are you shooting at? There's no one there. I mean, they were shooting at my body. They were correct to shoot at my body. They're like, no, you're just shooting trees. Oh, there's nothing there. Yeah, it's just funny when they argue. I'm kind of pausing right now because I don't recall if this was before or after. I don't recall if this was before or after we tried to fight for the village. This might have been after that. Yeah, this might have been after that. So let me backtrack. Once we set up our camp, our what would technically be our permanent camp unless it gets discovered, we had to go back to secure a cache of supplies that's at the village we were mistakenly guarding in the earlier part of the day. So we get there, it seems like practically at the same time they do. We get on formation, I make visual contact with them, and I open fire. At least I thought I opened fire. Remember how I said earlier that I wasn't sure if my drum was even feeding when we made our very first contact? Yeah, so my gun was definitely having feeding issues. I don't know, maybe it shot a few rounds and then it crapped out, or it didn't shoot any rounds. But I ended up having to default to my TT. And I've brought my TT-33, the Tokarev, a number of times to events, and the only time I shoot it is at the end of the event just to clear it. And this time I actually had to use it because my main weapon was down. I wasn't able to figure out the feed issue. So I whip out the TT and I lay low. I had a tree trunk to my side while I'm prone. I had a camo cape on. I ditched the machine gun because I wasn't going to be able to figure it out, and I can't mess with it because the GIs, who totally outnumber us, are heading on our position, and they easily outflank us and envelop us in every situation. So I just switched to the TT, and I'm just laying flat, waiting for someone to hopefully get within my firing range. And the people that I see crossing my field of fire, slowly flanking around, making their maneuvers, I can hear people on the other side of the, heading at me from the other side of the fallen tree. And of course that's where I originally fired at, in that direction. So unless I belly glide out of there backwards, I might as well go down fighting. And I figured just let people cross into my line of fire. I believe the KWA TT-33, TT-33, holds like 10 rounds. That's really not a lot. And I did have like 2 targets come directly on my 12, but perhaps just out of effective firing range, because I start shooting with the TT, and they're like just veering off right before getting to the targets, and they must have seen the BBs landing around them, because I did see them react to my fire, though I don't think they figured out where the fire was coming from. So I managed to empty out 1 mag. Again, it's only 10 rounds, and That guy was very lucky. It was like he literally had a deflective shield on. Like, if they would have gone straight, I would have gotten the Imperialist pig dog. So I switched to my to my second mag, and I don't remember if I actually got to shoot it. I think someone just grazed the top of my butt. Like, it wasn't a direct hit into my butt cheek. I felt like the BB kind of just like I would have just had like just a smoky hole on my pants. I don't think it would have even broken skin. It just would have singed my butt, and I totally would have been able to continue fighting. But anyway, I took my hit. I laid there flat. They came to disarm me.
One machine gunner down.
They might be. Oh, he's still holding a pistol.
He's got something in his hand. Watch that.
Don't move him. Don't move him. He's got a grenade in his hand.
Yeah.
Or something. We got one dead VC with a grenade in his hand.
That's a mag.
Is it mag?
It looks like a mag.
Oh.
But I mean,
I see something with a square top.
Well, anyways, bang 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 bang. The only good gooks are dead gooks.
Reload.
Yeah, reload. Bang 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 bang.
no, this is your
You got
BK.
another BB over here.
Okay, BK. How many down do we have counted?
You can tell immediately.
BK, how many dead over there?
One KIA.
Strasky, did you get that guy down there?
I got one. We've got 3 down. 2 here, and you're 1.
Yep.
That doesn't add up.
Unless Strasky got their guy.
You're using tunnels.
It was hilarious as these guys are so worried that I'm booby-trapped. I'm literally holding the magazine that I swapped out in my left hand. Everyone thinks it's a grenade. Everyone's afraid to inspect my body. I love hate it. I love hate it. I think that was a running gag throughout the entire weekend. Whenever anyone came across my body, he's got a grenade. Don't touch him. Maybe I did. So, my whole team got wiped out. I don't know if we even wounded anyone in that engagement.
Wizard, this is Slap Actual. How copy? Both elements linked up and assaulted NVA machine gun positions. Break. 3 NVA KIA, no serious wounded on the Allied side. Break.
Again, there was 4 of us. My main weapon was down. So it was 3 guys with rifles and me on a pistol. So against like a force triple our size, maybe more. What was gonna happen? What was gonna happen? So what would have happened ended up happening, and that's when we went back, and I believe that's when I started cooking. That's when the sentry made contact. That's when I went to get back into the fight. Because at that point I did resolve the drum situation. So when the sentry made contact, I did have a functioning gun at that point. I did go out to try to get some. I don't know if I hit anyone at that time. I don't remember. Because I was reacting and like I didn't even put my shirt on. I was just trying to get away from the campsite and get some. I didn't have time to strap a camera on and deal with it. So there isn't any footage of that. So this mic force, whatever the hell that means, was supposed to locate our camp. And it was still light out. And I honestly wasn't sure if they located it. But they did use their deductive reasoning. It's like, why is this guy not in full uniform? Why is this corpse not in full uniform? Their camp must be around here. Well, they looked around while it was still daylight. Let me emphasize that. While it was still daylight. And they failed to find the camp. So, once they cleared off the hill, we all went back. I served everyone the food. We had our chow. Morale went up a bit. Then the sentries went back to work, and it was already getting dark. Me and one other guy, we decided to stay at the actual campsite and see how it goes. If they found the campsite, I'd be defending it with the machine gun. I had a partner who'd be able to give me buddy aid if necessary, while the sentries stayed on top of the hill. And it got dark, you know, as it gets, as dark as the devil's anus. That's how it goes at these events. It's super dark, and eventually my sentries, they return. I signal them back. They get back to camp. And then the top of the hill lights up like freaking UFOs, like fire in the sky, like people using white light. So it's like they were kind of close, but they totally failed to locate us. We kept our cool. We kept our quiet, noise discipline. And eventually they left the hill. Alright. I picked a good site. I managed to pick a site where they didn't probe enough or correctly to find. So that was accomplished. And yeah, we weren't gonna go off that hill in the dark we knew their location. We could have gone out to probe them, but morale was really low. It was not the safest terrain to be stumbling through in the dark, especially to gain what? There was nothing to gain. We stayed in camp. We went to sleep. Morning rolls around and they're still looking for us. So we're supposed to do evasion stuff. So morning comes and one more guy decides he's had enough. He's just gonna call it quits. He's gonna leave the event. I understand him. So I'm left with two other guys. There's a grand total of 3 of us. One cell. Just one cell of comrades left. We decide to pack up our camp, clean up the campsite, try to reduce our footprint in the forest there, so that they definitely would have no idea where our camp was, making sure that we leave no clue as to where we spent the night. And we decide to cache our stuff at this old wrecked barn house garage thing by the road that divides Tolcom. And then we'd go back and we'd do the evasion hiding thing. I mean, there's so many places to hide over there. But the thing is, I've never ever been so twisted in my life on this field. I literally got so turned around, I had no idea that I was where I was. And it's like, wait, this is the main road on this side of the field. How the hell did I get here? I thought I was going in a totally different direction. And at that point I was like, alright, well, we're pretty much across the street from the cars. Let's just dump all our stuff across the street at our cars. This wasn't like some sort of gaming or cheating thing. It was just like, okay, we're already like here. It's not like they need to find our rucks. So we just went across the street, we dump our rucks, and we take the high speed route back to get into the part of the field where we're supposed to be evading. As I put it, we took the tunnels, underground tunnels, because that's how we operate. Tunnels! So we get to the barn, and there's already one squad of Mike Force there. So it's like, okay, we're not going to start fighting right here. And like, I don't know, there's one guy getting all twitchy, like ready to shoot us, and it's like, there's no shooting at the road. We're not even holding our guns up at you. So we talk it out with them so that we can continue the game. They report that they've caught some prisoners. Fine, whatever works for you. They didn't even need to report anything. They give us a pass so that we can get back into the game and assume the roles we need to be doing. So there was actually one more thing I forgot to mention. So one guy left, and the other guy needed to use the porta potty. He didn't want to pop a squat in the woods. So he went to go use the porta potty at the parking lot, but we didn't link up. I mean, he had his orders, he knew what to do, so he was already back somewhere in the proper part of the field doing the whole evasion thing. So at the moment, there's one guy somewhere in that hill area, and two of us just coming back trying to get to that hill area. So it's essentially not even a full cell, it's just the two of us. I'm bored, my morale is low from the previous day. The one redeeming thing for morale was how well we set up our camps, that we managed to successfully avoid it getting found, and we managed to exfil from that area of operations without being detected. And had we re-entered the field the same way we came, instead of taking the tunnels, we would have probably still managed to avoid them. But what was the point at this? Like, I barely fired any BBs this weekend. And if you want us to just be there and evade, yeah, we just get between one of the gigantic boulders and you'll never find us. Case in point, they never found that one other guy. He was successfully evading, and I don't think he needed to put a lot of effort into it. There's just so many places to hide over there. Literally, hide under rocks, or a bush, or a rock under a bush. So I was not going to spend the rest of the morning just hiding under a rock waiting for them to not find us, because that type of a mission is very silly when there's only 3 of us, a whole lot of area to operate in, full of fantastic places to hide. I mean, that could have just been like, hey, pack up your camp and go take a nap. That could have been our morning instructions. Pack up camp, take a nap. And then this would have been a totally successful thing for us to do, easily. So instead, I had the one guy that was with me, I told him, we're going to go hit him. We're going to go rustle up some feathers. So that's what we did. We found the other part of Mike Force that was on the hill, engaged them, and then pulled back between some boulders. At which point, I slip into, like, between a couple of boulders, like an actual crevasse. And while I'm there, I realize, I could literally get under this rock. There is space for my body to get under this boulder. I do that. I get under the boulder. And then I realize there's a bit of an opening, and I can see guys coming. They totally cannot see me. Well, I do have to evade. If he just keeps on going, that will be that. But he decided to turn and head towards me. And he's heading towards the opening of the rock I'm under. I'm absolutely sure he does not see me because I'm under a rock. He's not looking under any rocks. And it's dark because I'm under a rock. So as he comes up, and he's like maybe 50 feet out, maybe less, I shoot him up. He's donezo. One confirmed imperialist down. And then, at the time, when this is all happening, everything seems to take up a much larger period of time. But you can see the video. It's very brief. I shoot him, and then a grenade lands right at the mouth of this cave. Let's call it a cave, but just outside of it. And I do have all this boulder there between me and the outside of it. But the concussive blast of that grenade, I've never felt a concussive blast from an airsoft grenade so powerfully. Like, it was like the cave is an echo chamber, and like, you really feel it, but in the video it just sounds like a snap or a crack. But it was a really big boom, and my left ear was like deafened for a while. And it's pretty cool because it's like, that was a pretty good throw, even though it didn't land inside the cave. I think if I felt that concussive blast, if it was a real grenade, it would have definitely messed me up. So I take the hit. I'm dead. I'm just laying there, dead under a rock. So there's smoke from the explosion at the opening of the cave. It's glorious. I wish. See, the camera was obstructed by the boulder which I was under, so it didn't capture all the coolness of it. I mean, you can see some of the coolness, but because my head was like at the boulder, it was very cool. It was very cool. And having video of this like is a great demonstration of like, oh man, that felt like it took so much longer than the reality. The reality is on video. It went by really fast. Some of the guys were amazed at where they ended up finding me. They're like, they couldn't believe where I was hiding. So you're welcome. You're welcome. The guy in the community that made that China lake, homemade China lake, and uses homemade rounds for it, I got to be on the receiving end of that. I did get to see it do an airburst. That was cool. That was cool. Once they finally move away from us, we're able to get back into the action. and I'm trying to give them enough time to move away so it's not like cheap shots. And me and the one other guy, we regroup and we're trying to flank and want to hit them again. Because, you know, they killed 2 guys and they're so happy. Oh, there's supposed to be much more of us. I'm about to get back onto the hill. I get over the hill. I spot one more of these tiger stripe guys. And I'm like, okay, I barely captured any video this weekend. I'm going to get this on video. And I just get back down, activate my camera, get back up with my machine gun, and he's gone. He is gone. I continue flanking around the hill thinking I just get a different angle and I'll find him again. No, he's gone. And I could hear them. They're already away off the hill. They went towards the lake, pond, whatever that body of water is on that field. Like, okay, well, I guess this portion of the mission is done. But now we're playing the cat. Earlier we were supposed to be the mouse, hiding in those hiding in the walls or rocks. And now we were supposed to harass them. So at first I needed to regroup. I needed to get my 3rd man. That took a while, so they progressed to their next objective while I'm trying to regroup my 1 man who successfully evaded. He successfully fulfilled the mission he was given. He successfully evaded. So it took a little while to get him. And then we finally regrouped, moved to the next area of operations where we're meant to fight them. And again, there's a lot more of them. There's just 3 of us. There's not much we can do. So for the next set of maneuvers, I put myself in a position of decoy. I was the decoy the whole time. I go right up the middle, where they would easily be able to focus on me. While the 2 other guys went into the flanks, I opened fire, and I tried to get their attention. And it was 2 of the guys, I think 2 guys managed to actually realize where the fire was coming from. Someone was shooting in semi-auto, but they were whizzing around me, but just not getting at me. There was some, I think their machine gunner was sending out bursts my way. Again, just around me until eventually one caught me. I think like nicked me on my arm or something, or off the side of my pith helmet. I remember it was something insignificant. Or was it directly to the head? Either it was completely insignificant or it was totally fatal. You know, one or the other, but it's all the same in Airsoft. You know, one or the other, same result. But it wasn't like a sniper shot. It was like, okay, you're just like blasting randomly and finally got me. Congratulations. And they did send out maybe 1 or 2 guys were flanking, and they went to confirm my body. And then I'm pretty sure they were again afraid to check my body. I don't know. The whole time I'm thinking, haha, you fools. You fools! I was the decoy. I wanted you to come here. Well, they ended up regrouping and coming back, and then they start shooting my comrades that were coming from the flanks. By that time, I am bled out. So now their attention is focused to the flanks, to their flanks, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to respawn, and I back the hell out of there, get out of sight, get out of there, and I respawn, and I start flanking. And I start using, back when I started Airsoft, this one one group of players up from like way upstate New York, like Syracuse or something. They were using a tactic that they called bunny armor. Bunny armor. Bunny armor? It's a bunny. It's a bunny. It's hoppity, the hippity, the hippity, the hoppity, the hippity, the hoppity. So what that means is, I start shooting, and then I get the hell out of there. Really fast. I blah 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 blah, but I don't stick around. I don't stick around to see my results. I don't stick around to see what they're gonna do. I don't dig in. I get the hell out of there. And I'm like slicing the pie. I'm circling around their position and just slice in. Brah, 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 get the hell out. Partial rotation. Slice in again. Hit him. Get the hell out. Circle again. Slice in. Hit him. Get the hell out. And I'm just doing that. I'm drawing them out of their defensive position. They're spreading out. Maybe I got someone. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure even what's happening to my other two guys. But I am just... Oh, my heart is racing. My God, I'm just like... It's so tense because it's me... pretty much me versus everyone, and I'm just hitting and running and just trying to spread them out. And this is the most action I've seen all goddamn weekend. I spent a lot of ammo out of my drum and a lot of physical energy running around, and my drum ended up failing to feed again. So during one of my pullouts, I had to stop, get behind some cover, rejigger my drum so that it would feed. Once I confirmed it was feeding, then I back the hell up, jump into the fight again, and but at this point they're already leaving the field, they're making their way out. So I ended up cutting back in, but they were not there anymore. They're already going that way. So I cut in that way, and they're going that way, or whatever, you get it? Like, I'm going one way, they're already going the other way, so then I end up playing catch up. They're already, like, pulling out, they look exhausted, they're bunched up, but they're just out of my range, and I have to run to try to catch up to them and get them. It looked like one guy was being supported on his way out, like they had a walking wounded, maybe, or like a carried wounded, so they're... I just wasn't able to catch up to them, and the other comrades also failed to catch up to them. So we didn't do a lot of damage. All the action seemed to have been in like the last 10-15 minutes of the event. A lot of it was low morale because we weren't able to properly execute what was expected of us because so many guys ended up dropping off before the event, and unfortunately there was no plan B. So I was just trying to fulfill the requirements of me for the missions for the People's Army as best as I could with the few guys that I had, while my mind is in the home front. And all in all, I have to say, for Broken Arrow events, July events, not the worst one. This maybe comes in at like number 2. The 2020 event was much more fun, even though we only had 4 guys the entire weekend. 2020, whatever the hell it was called, was just more fun. What was expected of us was what we could actually do. So 2020 was more fun. What was expected of us for 2021 wasn't so fun. Even if we would have had everyone, it seemed like all the fun was for the other guys, for Mike Force. Except for like the last 15 minutes or so. That was real fun. So, this is actually weeks later. Because again, I've had so much stuff happening on my home front. Things changed. Suddenly I was able to attend Indian country. But then Indian country got postponed because personal reasons for the organizer. He's got his own stuff happening on his own home front. So then I was free and clear to enjoy, to give Liberty Canyon a try. But I don't know anybody that goes there. And I'm a pedestrian at the moment. I do not have my own vehicle. I can only go to events where guys that I know are going and will give me a ride. I can only carpool. And nobody I knew was going to take me because they weren't going. So maybe 2022. If there's no scheduling conflicts, I'll give Liberty Canyon a try. See what's going on since the last time I attended one of those. But it's already August. This is August 3rd that I'm filming this. So next week, just like 8 days? 9 days? Something like that? The big show, the Broken Arrows Oregon Trail. B.A.E.'s Oregon Trail. Broken Arrow Events August event. Broken Arrow Events August event because they love to just do stupid name changes. Every event needs a stupid name change. Just keep it simple, man. Broken Arrow Events August. I don't need all these other names, and I don't know if anyone else appreciates their historical references. Maybe there's some guys that do. I don't. It's easier for me to talk to other people about these events when, Indian country's always Indian country. Liberty Canyon's always Liberty Canyon. It's easier to talk about events that way when they're not going through an identity crisis every year. They do it for a reason. They do it because they care about historical blah blah blah. These events are inspired by historical events, about missions that actually happened. Whatever. I like to be able to talk to people and say, hey, that event, it's a real good time. You should go to it. Yeah, I know. The one last year was called something else. Yeah, and the one before that was called something else also. But it's still the same event. I assure you, it's the same great event. So, I am hyped for that. I'm not going to make a separate hype video for that. I made one hype video for all of Namsoft for summer 2021. I'm still hyped for it. It's going to start on Thursday, and it's going to run through Sunday morning, so that's a long time. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be using the whole field. Definitely the challenging part, the one of the valley side. So, it's going to be a good time. I'm very hyped for it. Thanks for tuning in, YouTube Land Tavarische. See you at the AAR for the big show.
Are you inside that shit?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he's dead?
Yeah.
Fucking madman.
That was a pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that grenade went off
That was a
right
fucking
where
hole in the wall.
Ferrucci's
He just
muzzle
pulled
is.
that over the top and it dropped right in there.
Wait,
I've been using grenades.
is he
simulator.
fucking in there?
That's where he shot me from.
Good for you. Is that Zach?
That'd be Roman, I think.
Roman? Fucking cave people.
You want me to drag him out?
You ever seen that movie, The Descent?
Yeah.
That's what reminds me. I don't want to go in there.
The grenade was on
It, right in front of it. But still, I bet you it was fucking loud in there.
Professional.